Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Karraker and company.
Hi kids, happy Monday. Hope your weekend was good. That's Andrew Rogers, I'm Randy Karraker, and we've got quite a show for you. We had some really good St. Louis City SC, some really bad Mizzou basketball, and some in between this weekend. We'll have our weekend highlights. We want you to give us a bet later in the show. Text it in or email it to us for our parlay, and you can ask us anything later on in the program. How was your weekend, sir?
Great weekend. Busy as a bee. A lot of sports on TV. How was yours?
It was good. Busy as well. But first, let's get things started with what a run for the Blues after handling their business against an improved Anaheim team on Friday. The Blues went head-to-head against a good, rested Kings team on Saturday, right here on Matrix Midwest, we might add, and took them to overtime and lost 2-1 on a goal 27 seconds into OT. Nick Leddy had scored for the Blues in the third period from Neighbors and Bolduc, so the Blues remained a point behind the Flames and tied with Vancouver for the final Western Conference playoff spot. Here you go with the game winner for the LA. Oh no, that's the Leddy.
That was the Leddy goal.
The Leddy goal, and then that one sent it to overtime. The Blues were behind in the third, and really playing their third game in 4 nights showed an awful lot of grit and toughness.
Yeah, this was tough for St. Louis. It was a situation where you can take away a lot of positives, but you can also point to the primary negative, or at least the drawback in the game, and that was fatigue. The Blues just looked gassed out there, and you could tell that it was their second game in 24 hours, plus they played over 6 periods of action going into overtime. So the Blues just didn't really have their legs underneath them, but overall, it's about getting points in meaningful games, and that's what St. Louis was able to do. That's what everybody should be focusing on, not the fact that, oh my gosh, it looked like the Blues fell apart in the second and third period. Yeah, they got figured out. This was the third time in a week and a half that they played the Kings. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and hey, you play 3 games in 4 nights, you're missing Colton Parayko, you're missing Cam Fowler, and you take 5 of 6 points on the California trip, and as we speak this morning, the Blues are tied with Vancouver, 1 point behind Calgary for that final Western Conference playoff spot. There it is right there. Calgary with 70 points, Vancouver and the Blues both with 69, although those 2 teams have a couple of games in hand on the Blues. But you have to look at where the Blues are right now. They played well without Parayko. Broberg was on the ice for the game winner for the Kings. He was kind of caught in between, and Holloway just, as you mentioned, they were gassed. He lost Byfield, and that's hockey. But when you look at the big picture here, if we would have said 2 weeks ago the Blues are going to be in the playoff hunt and 1 point out of where they could make the playoffs, we would have taken that. And now the Blues are off until Thursday after playing the 3 and 4, off until Thursday when they visit Pittsburgh and the trip continues.
Yeah, you got to be happy with how the Blues are playing right now. Not only were they down Colton Parayko, but they were also down Cam Fowler. Cam Fowler was back home, and congratulations to him and his wife on having was it their second child, I believe?
Correct. Yep.
But you know, when you're down your top defensive pairing, and then you slot in guys like Matt Kessel and Tyler Tucker, who I thought played pretty well in that hockey game, that's just going to happen. But again, the thing is, they didn't skip a beat. This defense was just right on point all game long. There were points in time where you're like, oh, there was a little miscommunication there, or, oh, they could have been better there. But all in all, you have to be happy about that and the heart of this team right now. They blocked 18 to 20 shots in the game as well. That's how they got the point at the end of the day.
And people like Fowler, when he is back, and he'll be back for the next game in Pittsburgh, and Nick Leddy, and Falk, and of course Ryan Suter, they've been around, you know, they have seen some things, and they will be a great antidote for missing Colton Parayko. Those guys are going to be fine because they have been around. They aren't going to allow bad goals. They aren't going to get rattled by anything that happens in a game. Now, could that happen to Kessel? Could that happen to Broberg? Absolutely. Could it happen to Tyler Tucker? Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, those 4 veteran defensemen, I think, are what's going to keep the Blues in the hunt here for the rest of the season.
And how about those guys playing in meaningful games as well? We talk about that a lot, how these young guys need to be around in meaningful moments. And you got that out of Kessel, and you got that out of Tucker. This can only mean good things for the Blues down the stretch. And how about Joel Hofer? We didn't talk about him at all yet either. He played outstanding hockey. It was for me, I thought his game has been down a little bit recently in the last 4 or 5 games. I was kind of like off and on the Hofer train, but I got right back on it with his play, especially in the third period.
And oh, by the way, the 11-game point scoring streak for Robert Thomas goes by the board, so he'll start another one Thursday when the Blues visit Pittsburgh. Baseball, the Cardinals have 14 Grapefruit League games left. They play their AAA Memphis Farm Club 2 weeks from today, and then open the season 2 weeks from Thursday against the Twins right here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Yesterday, the Cardinals got home runs from Matt Kaperniak in the 8th and Cesar Prieto in the 9th to beat the Yankees 6-5. Cardinals did hit 4 home runs and had 6 extra base hits. Burleson and Gorman homered. Gorman also had a double in that game, but there are some issues, and it's great that the Cardinals Memphis guys are performing the way they are, and it was great to see some of the swings that the guys took yesterday. But the fact of the matter is, and there is the Nolan Gorman long home run.
That was a bomb.
That was, and he had a couple of hits. He seems to be on the right track here. But the question is, even though you have the Memphis guys hitting great, the guys that are going to be here 2 weeks from Thursday, Arenado is hitting 160. Brendan Donovan is hitting 167. Mason Wynn is hitting 115. Michael Ciani is hitting 045. Pedro Pajes is hitting 188. As a team, the Cardinals last in batting average in MLB this spring at 215. The Cubs are hitting 301. The Cardinals are 24th in OPS at 704. The Cubs and Brewers and Reds are all in the top 8 in MLB in OPS. The Cardinals 24th in on base, 21st in slug. We could go down the line. And sure, there are some good things to take out of this. Gorman with the long home run and the double. That makes me feel a little bit better. But at the end of the day, these averages need to start climbing. I want to get above the Mendoza line before we make it to St. Louis.
I'll tell you, Randy, I knew the offense was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. So thanks for reiterating that for everybody out there. But again, this goes back to what fans were worried about coming into this season. The phrase of the offseason was, we are going to stink. And right now it's justified. But hold your horses. It's spring. If this is mid-May and you're seeing the averages and the hitting where it is, then okay, maybe you can raise some concerns. But what if it's not? What if it's actually pretty good? The Blues, we talk about a lot, needing a true scorer. What if the Cardinals get hot at the right time? And that's the best thing about baseball. At any moment in time, you can get red hot, and the bats will show up at some point this season. You'll see it. Maybe it's not super early on, but you'll see it midway through.
And by the way, pitching-wise, the Cardinals this spring are 7th in earned run average, 17th in whip, and it seems like their identity is really whip. Yeah, cool whip. Why do you call it cool whip? It seems like their identity is going to be pitching, and that's kind of strange to say when you have all those hitting talent that we're talking about, but there isn't really anybody that I say. That's the thing. When we talk about this ball club offensively, is there anybody that this spring you say, I'm not worried? Maybe Contreras. Contreras would be the guy that and Arenado's hitting 160. He is what he is. You know that Arenado is going to be there. But yeah, I think you have to have concern about most of the rest of the guys that are going to start here on opening day.
Yeah, the only other person that I think I'm a little 80-20 on is Mason Wynn. 80% not worried about. The 20% I am a little bit, and that just comes with the pressure that he carries into this season. The expectation for Mason Wynn is to be this superstar. You're building a franchise around this player, and I'll be interested to see if he can live up to the expectation that not only the Cardinals fans put him at, but even the organization. The organization has the highest of regards for a player like him. But you're right, when it comes to pitching, that is the total bright spot, the identity of this group. Isn't it funny how, yes, we talk about these young pitchers and mixing them in with the old guys, but the depth of the rotation and further down the list, and it's in a good way, right? It's a good problem for the Cardinals to have. They're in limbo, of course, but you want to see some of those young guys in, but why are you going to push out a Steven Matz if he's pitching well? Why are you going to push out a Eric Fetty if he's pitching well? It's a good position for the Birds to be in, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we really want to see these young guys go.
We'll talk about that later in the program. By the way, one other point regarding the offense, and yes, we have concerns, but what I want to see is Brendan Donovan do what he's shown me he can do. I want to have him have a 394 on base. I want to have Mason Wynn do what he did last year, what I know he's capable of doing. I want to have Nolan Gorman do what I know what he's capable of doing. Hit 27 home runs, be like a 230 hitter. And he did that in 406 at-bats. I want to see what he does in 500 at-bats. I want to see Jordan Walker do what he did down the stretch in 2023. I know he's capable of it. I want to see Victor Scott do what he did after he came up last year. All I want to see is guys do what they've done in the past, what I know they're physically capable of doing. If I can get that out of this group, I will be one happy camper.
And I hope you're right about Jordan Walker, because I had a fantasy draft over the weekend, and I had the last pick in the draft. I was 10th, and Mr. Irrelevant was Jordan Walker on my team. So let's see if he can bounce back, be that superstar.
Mr. Irrelevant in my fantasy football draft last year was Jordan Mason of the 49ers. When Christian McCaffrey got hurt, he carried the team for a while.
At least for 11 weeks.
Yeah. Hey, later in the show, help us build a parlay. Find a single bet you like on DraftKings and send it to us. Andrew is going to make a bet. I'm going to make a bet. You make a bet. We've won 2 in a row now. We're going to put all of our bets together and build a parlay. Text in 314-624-0414. Just save that number in your phone. And if you have any questions, we'll answer them later in the show. Text in or email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com. It was a crazy day in the NFL. It got started with Myles Garrett, who had requested a trade. So I'm at the grocery store earlier in the morning. Come out, there's a notification that Myles Garrett agrees to an amazing deal that makes him, deservedly so, the highest paid non-quarterback in league history. His contract is for $160 million over 4 years, with $123.5 million of that guaranteed. Now, the extension also includes a no-trade clause, according to sources, and reestablishes Garrett's Hall of Fame trajectory that he referred to as Cleveland to Canton. So Myles Garrett, surprisingly, staying a member of the Browns and will be there, I would assume, for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. And, I'm also not shocked at any of the deals that came through. It was like, okay, that makes sense. Every deal, every signing, it was the amount of money. I was like, holy cow, for a lot of those guys. But there wasn't a deal that I was like, man, I don't think that guy's worth that. Like Ronnie Stanley getting the money that he got, perfect.
Yeah.
He was either going to go to another team or you're going to protect Lamar Jackson for years and years to come.
And I think when the Chiefs traded Joe Thuney to the Bears, they kind of thought they were going to get Ronnie Stanley. That didn't work out very well. They're probably in the Cam Robinson sweepstakes now. Other moves, I was kind of surprised that the Rams announced that they're signing Devontae Adams because his name just hadn't come up for them, but he's now a member of the Rams. They've already told Cooper Kupp that they're going to trade him. The Bills, this was a shocker to me because Josh Allen had 4 years left on his contract, Andrew. The Bills made Allen the highest paid player in league history, a 6-year, $330 million deal with $250 million guaranteed. The big part of this that surprised me was because he had 4 years left, but credit to the Bills, they wanted to keep their quarterback happy, and with $330 million, $250 guaranteed, he's probably pretty happy today.
Yeah, you can't think that he wouldn't be happy making that amount of money. But now it's about, at least for the Bills, it's about giving Josh Allen those weapons so that they can succeed and win a Super Bowl. If you are going to buy into this quarterback and say he's your guy, he has to get you over that hump. He has to get you going the distance. And how do you do that? Maybe it's by going to get a guy like Cooper Kupp. Maybe it's like going after a guy like Brandon Ayuk and getting another number one receiver there for him.
Meanwhile, the Steelers, speaking of receivers, acquired and signed Seattle receiver DK Metcalf last night. He gets a 5-year deal for $150 million. The Seahawks get a second-round draft pick and a flip of 6th and 7th rounders from Pittsburgh. So now you've got George Pickens on one side, DK Metcalf on the other. Depending on who's throwing to those receivers, that should be a pretty good pair for the Steelers.
Yeah, that was another great ad for Pittsburgh. It was a situation where when they lost Deontay Johnson, that receiving core just wasn't what they used to be. Now you get another number one in next to George Pickens. It's a 1A, 1B sort of thing. It's really hard when you put yourself in those spots.
Pass rusher Harold Landry, released by Tennessee, rejoins his old coach Mike Vrabel in New England, and the Vikings are keeping Aaron Jones on a bargain 2-year, $20 million deal. I'm laughing at this because the legal tampering period starts this morning. All of these moves in the NFL, and free agency hasn't even begun yet. It's incredible.
That's one of my favorite phrases, legal tampering. It sounds so wrong, yet so right.
It's kind of an oxymoron. It doesn't seem like tampering should be legal.
Ever.
Coming up, a Mizzou slump couldn't come at a worse time, and should the Yankees revisit calling the Cardinals for a deal? Quick Hits next on The Fight. Mizzou is drilled by Kentucky and has lost 4 of 5 heading into the SEC tournament. And the Tigers have been behind by double digits to Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kentucky. What has happened to the defense? They just can't stop anybody. It doesn't seem like whatever the other team wants to do, whether it's shooting a three, not many contesting threes, and if they go to the rim, the other team is having a pretty easy time going to the rim too. Tigers will have a bye in the SEC tournament. What do you think, Andrew, has happened to the defense?
Well, at least it's trending in the wrong direction for one, but I do believe that some of these things are fixable because we did see a little bit of that against Kentucky. What was happening the game before? Too many points in the paint, not rebounding. Well, Mizzou took that away early on and limited those points in the paint. But then they weren't able to defend without fouling. And also, it was kind of the trade-off of, well, if we're going to defend in the paint, we're going to leave the three open, and Kentucky made them pay. So if there's a really good team that can shoot the ball, Mizzou's going to have a tough time figuring out, do we want to do this best or do we want to do that best? They just don't have the balance right now.
It's almost as if their defense is, they can't hit the three. Because very, very rarely do you see a Mizzou defensive player with a hand in the face of somebody in three-point territory. There's a lot of opportunities for the opposition to take wide open threes. And in this day and age, you cannot assume that the other team can't hit a three. You've got to defend it. And then it's unfair to blast Josh Gray every day, right? It's not fair. But the guy's got to play better if Mizzou's going to succeed. That's a fact.
There's just got to be better help side defense, and you just got to recover faster. The rotation needs to be stronger.
City SC had a breakout game against LA Galaxy last night. 3-0 on the pitch in LA. The guys you need to come through, Cedric Toyshirt, Marcel Hartel, and Simon Betcher, all tallied. It's the first win for the boys under coach Olaf Melberg.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Randy, and on the very first goal, St. Louis City got lucky. But down the stretch of this game, it was better to be lucky and good because they started creating really nice runs and they were doing what they've been talking about doing. It's starting in the back, working the ball to the middle, and then creating runs for their forwards. And they did that on both goals. Goal 2 and goal 3 looked like the same exact thing.
Coach Olaf was a defender when he played and has instituted, obviously, a defensive mindset with St. Louis City SC. Through 3 matches, City is the only MLS team yet to allow a goal. Berkey had 8 saves. Galaxy had 23 shot attempts, but Berkey was sensational. And this is the style that Lutz Pfannenstiel has wanted to have all along. The opposition, Galaxy, held the ball for more than 70% of the time, but they didn't score.
They took advantage of a team that was down too. The LA Galaxy won the Cup last year.
They're kind of scuffling this year.
And they are tailing the wrong direction. But also, I was really happy to see Marcel Hartel get on the board. This is a player that I had as my breakout candidate, and he's just looked non-existent. I almost wondered if he knew the season had started. And now we are seeing that, hey, he can be that productive middle forward, that left winger that St. Louis needs him to be. They're energized going back home to Energizer.
And they will take on Seattle next Saturday at Energizer Park. College basketball again. Drake pulled away from Bradley late and won the State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Championship Arch Madness 63-48 yesterday over at Enterprise Center. The Larry Bird Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference, Bennett Sturtz, led the Bulldogs with 24. We mentioned last week what a great event it is, and it was again this year here in St. Louis. And Drake, Andrew, if people don't realize it, they've been a dominant team now for a long time.
That's crazy, and they just got better by adding Ben McCollum to the staff. Ben McCollum, for those that don't know, was at Northwest Missouri State University, Division II, won 4 national championships from 2017 to 2022, and now he's at Drake in a position where he could push Drake through the tournament and in such a strong way. He brought over 4 guys from Northwest Missouri State, one of them being Sturtz, another being Mascari, who said, I'm not going to be a finance guy until the end of this season. Just a really good Bulldogs team, and they're hot at the right time.
Yeah, they finished 30-3 on the season, and in Joe Lenardi's bracketology, he has Drake as an 11 seed. Is that reasonable? Is that fair?
That is, and I actually thought they'd probably be at 12, so the fact that they're 11, I'm actually prouder of the fact that the national media is recognizing what Drake can do. And like I said, they're a scary team. I wouldn't want to play them if I was coaching a team in the first round.
We talked about their dominance, Andrew. From 2020 until now, only Houston, Gonzaga, and San Diego State have more wins than Drake's 145 in Division I in the last 5 years.
That's wild, especially with how strong Gonzaga has been. I mean, every year under Mark Few, it felt like they were 30-3. SDSU kind of weird in that mix.
Yeah, they don't. One of these things is not like the other. But Drake is kind of that way too. But a surprising fourth in the country in wins in the last 5 years. The Cardinals beat the Yankees in Jupiter 6-5 yesterday. We already talked about that, but that's the least of the Yankees' problems. Rookie of the Year pitcher Luis Gil is out 6 weeks with a lat strain. Garrett Cole, their expensive ace, had imaging on his elbow and wants a second opinion. What's the only reason you asked for a second opinion, Andrew?
Well, you probably have Tommy John.
You didn't like the first opinion, exactly. And then Giancarlo Stanton talked to the media this weekend, said his elbow injuries are considered severe in both elbows. He's unsure when he'll be able to resume baseball activities, but did say if surgery is necessary, it'll be season-ending. So the question becomes, for the Yankees, with those key performers out, would it be worth it for them to call the Cardinals and look at Arenado and or Fetty and Matz?
Absolutely. This is the point where they're in between don't panic and the barbarians are at the gate. The Yankees fans, they're not going to want another season like they've been seeing over and over where they get so close and can't get there. They don't want to start off slow either. How do you do that? Well, then you got to prepare this team and put them on paper to compete right away in April. And by adding a guy like Fetty, that's already your third best pitcher in this rotation. And their third baseman, they're just nobodies right now. And it's not a knock on any of the guys really there. They're just not Nolan Arenado. They could be so much better.
And losing a bat like Stanton, Arenado he wouldn't be Stanton, but he would be much better than what they have from a bat standpoint. Now, do Fetty and or Matz replace Cole and Luis Gil? No, they don't. But they've got a rotation now with Max Fried at the front of the rotation. They've got Carlos Rodon at the front of the rotation. They've got some pretty good quality there. Marcus Stroman is still in their rotation. They've got pitching. What they're going to need is back of the rotation guys. You'd love to have Cole and Gil as part of your rotation, but you don't. But could you still win with those guys at the back as long as they provide you a few innings? I think they could, and I think Arenado would really help the Yankees. Of course, you'd have to want to go there first, but if I were the Yankees, I'd be calling the Cardinals too.
Well, the Yankees put themselves in this position too. They said goodbye to Nestor Cortez. They also said goodbye to Clay Holmes, who looks pretty good as a starter.
Right.
I mean, that was their closer last year, and now he looks great as a starter. So they need to make some sort of addition in order to keep this pizza together.
And they did too much during the offseason in getting Bellinger and getting Fried and getting Devin Williams and getting Paul Goldschmidt to not try. ESPN's Matt Miller has only 14 college players with first-round grades for the draft, and one of them is Mizzou wide receiver Luther Burden. Miller wrote at ESPN.com, quote, Burden briefly fell out of my round one grades when All-Star season began, but he's back after a strong combine performance, verified what I've seen on tape for 3 seasons. Burden is an explosive wide receiver in the mold of Stephon Diggs or DJ Moore. He has the strength to run through defenders and the speed to run past them. Can Burden be an NFL star?
Yes, he can. He absolutely can. And it's for 3 reasons. The first is he knows exactly who he is as a receiver. The second thing is he's clean. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes when he's out there on the field. And third, he's like a Deebo Samuel clone. You can just use him in so many different capacities, running the football, doing the run after the catch plays, those screen passes. That's why you see all those comparisons to some of those receivers like DJ Moore as well. Just it's a matter of how a team will use him, and you can only use him correctly. His skill set puts you up for success.
I don't mind the comparisons to Diggs or Moore or yours to Deebo Samuel, but I think he's a little sturdier than Diggs or Deebo. I think that the real comp, almost identical in size to Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions. And St. Brown ran a 4.51 at the combine. Burden ran a 4.41. If I were to project Luther Burden, I think he becomes a lot like Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions.
Well, and I like that you brought that up because a lot of analysts and people out there knock him on his route running ability. That's what Amon-Ra does such a great job of. I think Burden is better than people give him credit for.
Those are your quick hits here on The Fight. Coming up, we've got first time for a local entity. Plus, as we bring you the weekend highlights, it's coming your way next on The Fight. All right, time for weekend highlights. And the city of Cleveland is a lot like St. Louis economically and demographically. And we saw Albert Pujols and Alex Petrangelo and Kurt Warner, guys that started here and were stars here, leave. And we were fortunate enough to have Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina stay through their whole careers. I think Myles Garrett should play his whole career in Cleveland and win there. Help turn it around. So I was glad yesterday when I got the notification that Garrett had signed with the Browns through 2030 and has a no-trade clause. Cleveland lost guys like LeBron and Kyrie and Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome and so many others. That city deserves another guy like Joe Thomas that they get to call their own forever. And especially with Canton right down the street, man, will Canton be wild when Myles Garrett goes into the Hall of Fame as a member of the Browns forever.
It's hard to argue that you're going to win no matter what in Cleveland because they just haven't done that. So you wouldn't have knocked Myles Garrett for wanting to go somewhere else and play somewhere else to win. But you're right, Randy. It is good. It's good for that city to have their superstar back. I mean, LeBron leaving at some point to go win championships elsewhere, even though he won a championship for that city, is something like, oh man, you kind of wish that he would have just stayed there forever, kind of like Aaron Donald was with the Rams.
And we were trying to think of comps here in St. Louis that do apply. And one of those was Steven Jackson, who never had an opportunity. He never played in a playoff game in St. Louis after 2004. The team started losing. So that was a comp. The Blues and Cardinals have generally won, although Brett Hull had to leave here, right, to go win a Stanley Cup. But there's a couple others in the history of the NFL that have done the same thing, right?
Yeah. Tons locally, though, and frankly, if Steven Jackson could have been a Ram forever, I mean, he was a fan favorite for so long. It's all right, though. Like, that's just the nature of the game, right? It's the nature of the business. My number 3, Randy, I thought this was fun, and our producer Tyler sent this our way last night, and I just couldn't stop laughing. My wife goes, what are you laughing at? And I go, I don't know. For 2 minutes, I was laughing about this guy trying to pay the officials during a goal review between
left side of the screen there.
Right, between the Islanders and the Sharks. Watch, he'll reach out with a crisp $100 bill, a Chris Benjamin trying to get the officials' attention. And why did I make this my love? It just goes to show that fans will do anything, whatever it takes, to help their team win.
That's fantastic.
Blues could have used that on Saturday night, huh? A fan trying to do that.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, when you think about, okay, this was a little less physical than the guys in New York, the Yankee fans that tried to break Mookie Betts' arm during the World Series.
Oh, yeah.
But this is fun and funny, and I really enjoyed the
a safe
effort.
way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is like the nice way. This is good, clean fun, if you will.
So, hey, Andrew mentioned this in our opening segment. I love the way the Blues played their third game in 4 nights. Usually, regardless of how good you are and how bad the other team might be, when you're playing your third game in 4 nights and they've had essentially 3 days off, you're going to get killed. Well, the Blues played a great game in L.A., and they took that game to overtime. And by all rights, against a team like the Kings, who had rested since the Blues played them on Wednesday, the Blues should not have been in this game. Definitely worth some love. The Blues' overtime loss to the Kings. And, oh, by the way, they did it because they were motivated by being right here on Matrix Midwest.
Yeah, that was the reason. The number one reason that they played well in this game. And they played with so much heart. I'll say it again. It was like, that's how you separate when you have like a mediocre team on the ice. If you are as competitive as you are, it just goes back to how much you want it, how passionate you are about this result. And they were able to get a goal out of Nick Leddy, a guy that hasn't scored in how many games? I mean, it's
40-something.
Yeah, crazy amount.
And the name of the game in hockey is you've got to sacrifice for each other, and Jim Montgomery's talking about that a lot, that the Blues are doing things for their teammates to help them win. And Jeremy Rutherford has a nice piece up at The Athletic about the Blues shot blocking and the way they've really taken it to another level. And they're sacrificing their bodies for the good of the team.
All about that next man up mentality, and they look fantastic right now. My number 2, Randy, we've been talking a lot about how PGA Tour may no longer need the former big names because they're constantly creating new superstars. That was on par this weekend when Koala Carl Vlips won the Puerto Rico Open in just his 4th PGA Tour start. 12th player ever on the PGA Tour to win this early in his career, and he also shot a tournament record of 26 under. Randy did that over the weekend as well. And despite all of that, he got a phone call from Tiger Woods following the round, and then he got a text because he didn't respond to the phone call, but he didn't text him back right away. And all I thought to myself was, what? Are you really going to keep the best player in the world, the best player ever to play the game, on red? Are you going to do that?
Should there be, is the next match against somebody, is it Koala and Tiger? I mean, you got to have koala and tiger together, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And Carl is the first brand ambassador for Tiger's Sunday Red attire. And so you almost wonder if it was a couple of things. One, because he is a pretty good golfer, and two, because he also has an animal name attached to his real name.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, on the regular tour, Russell Henley winning the Bay Hill Invitational. So a great weekend to golf.
Yeah, great comeback by him.
It's been a while. My number one, when SIUE was making the transition to Division I, I had the good fortune of doing a lot of their games on TV, and they had a rough transition. It's been a while. Well, Saturday night, it was so cool to see the Cougars win the OVC title and advance to the NCAA tournament for the first time. Coach Brian Baroni and his staff were so joyous, and he took out a pair of scissors that his dad had saved. His dad, Tony Baroni, the great coach at Creighton, who won a championship here at Arch Madness a long time ago. Good luck to the Cougars in the NCAA tournament, and our buddy Joe Pott deserves that reward too. He's been at it for a long time at SIUE. He's been there for a while, and he'll get to broadcast the Cougars in the NCAA. So good for SIU Edwardsville.
Selfishly, Randy and I were hoping that Lindenwood would have been that team that came out of the OVC, but you're right, good on SIUE. And that scissor story is incredible. For those that didn't watch, they had this pair of scissors framed in their locker room above the exit door, and they said, you know, once we get to this stage where we can cut down the nets, we're breaking this shadow box and we are cutting it down with this pair of scissors. And that was just a cool story and a good reminder that if you believe it, if you see it on the wall and you believe it, you can do it. And SIUE did it. They got it done. And that's just good to see a program respond like that.
We'll be following them throughout the NCAA tournament.
And you're right. Good on Joe Potts. I want to say that as well, too. Great friend. My number one, Randy, also on the college basketball slate. And if you're not one of the top college basketball teams in the country, you usually need to win your conference basketball championship in order to qualify for the tournament. Now, Omaha did that last night, but they actually qualified before their championship game because they faced off against St. Thomas, who transitioned from D3 to D1. They were ineligible for the NCAA tournament, so that just instantly made Omaha the winner because they were also regular season champions. So they're going dancing, and it made me think of two things. One, how cool. It was a place that I used to work. And two, they have one of the best stories in basketball right now with the trash can jumping and wrestling. And that's the type of stuff, the superstitions that you need when you get this far.
Yeah, and we see so many teams, SIUE, a program. Lindenwood is a program that is transitioning into D1. And to see those upstarts get the opportunity to actually play in a championship game and then win, there's nothing like those schools getting the opportunity and to see the players' reaction when they know they're going to the big dance.
Randy, how hard would it be for you if you were coaching that St. Thomas team to recruit kids and say basically, hey, we can't go to the dance for 3 years, but I still want you to play here? How hard do you think that is?
Oh, it's got to be really tough. And one of the things that has happened at Lindenwood is that they have decided to move ahead of the curve. They were on a conference call with the NCAA, and one of the people said, hey, we've done everything we need to complete our transition. Why can't we just transition now? And the NCAA said, I don't know. And so they're going to change the rules. And so schools that achieve all of the necessary goals to make the switch to Division I and complete their transition, they'll be allowed to from now on.
Right. If you expedite the process, if you are proficient and you get all of those boxes checked off, you should be able to transition within a year or two. It's just about how speedy you want to get with it all.
By the way, if you want to know how you recruit to a school that's not going to make the NCAA tournament because they're in a transition period, NIL.
Or give full rides.
Yeah, there you go.
And you probably do that through NIL.
Yeah. What a great weekend it was. A lot for us to highlight and a lot for us to love. And congratulations to the SIUE Cougars and to Omaha. They're the Mavericks, right?
They are the Mavs.
And whenever they need to make a change there, when they need to change things up, they go, Omaha!
They have to say it twice, though. Omaha! Yeah. Omaha!
There you go. Hey, coming up, we need your help to make a parlay. We've won 2 in a row. We're on a roll here. Now, you can text in 314-624-0414 and just pick out a single bet on DraftKings, any bet you want to have, and we will use yours for our parlay tonight. He'll make a bet, I'll make a bet, you'll make a bet, and we'll have the opportunity to win some money with the fight.
3 in a row.
Folks, don't get sidelined by bone or joint injury or pain. The orthopedic specialists at St. Luke's are dedicated to helping you return to a pain-free life. St. Luke's orthopedic surgeons, nurses, operating teams, and physical therapists bring together expertise, advanced technology, treatment options, and personalized care to help you live the healthiest life possible. St. Luke's Advanced Orthopedic Care ensures that you have access to inpatient rehabilitation, outpatient rehabilitation, and home and short-term rehabilitation services, depending on your needs and goals. With spring right around the corner, the weather this week has us itching to get back on the links or the pickleball court and running trails. If pain is keeping you from enjoying your favorite activity, St. Luke's wants to get you back in the game. Their sports medicine physicians treat athletes of all levels, both weekend warriors and professional athletes. And if you suffer that injury in pickleball, there have been a lot of them, a strained hamstring all the way to a ruptured Achilles, St. Luke's is there to get you back and feeling good. At St. Luke's, providing quality care means seeing you as a person, not a number, and whether it's your back or your neck or your foot or your ankle, or any place in between, the orthopedics team at St. Luke's is available. And you might be asking if it's time to replace those knees or hips or joints. Well, St. Luke's is offering advanced orthopedic treatment and surgical options. See the St. Luke's difference for yourself. Find out how St. Luke's orthopedic specialists can help you live your best life. Call 314-205-6060 today for world-class compassionate care, or visit online at stlukes-stl.com. Yeah, we did it again. That's right, we did it again. We are parlay champions. We did it on Thursday, we did it on Friday. We're going to try to do it again. So on Friday, I had the Blues going over against Anaheim. They did, we hit that. Andrew, you had Dylan Holloway getting a point. He did, and then our listener had the Blues on the money line. We hit that, and we won big on the parlay.
Yeah, I think it was about $300-400, and that over was a little bit in question. 800. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Tyler, thanks for correcting us. Oh, still down 800. All right, whatever.
We don't talk about that part.
We don't talk about the negatives.
Yeah. So here we go. Tonight, not an awful lot on the table for us, but the Celtics, who took care of the Lakers on Saturday night, are taking on the, we'll call them hapless, Utah Jazz. 17.5-point favorites, minus 108 to cover. Boom, shakalaka. That's what Andrew says. I've got that. I've got the Celtics to cover on the money line.
A lot of points at home. I didn't know I said that. Maybe I do sometimes. Yeah. Who knows? My build a parlay today is on the ice. We are going out to Ottawa, and Brady Tkachuk has scored in every single game since returning from the Four Nations. He has 5 goals in 4 games. I want to hop on the streak, Randy. We are aiming for a winning streak. That's if you win 3 in a row, for those that watch movies. And I'm hopping on the Brady Tkachuk streak at plus 130.
And is it Scott from North County that's joined?
It is. Yeah. Scott from North County, and he likes the NBA. And it's the 76ers who are dogs in Atlanta. Plus 9.5.
Gutsy play.
I'm for it. Sometimes you just got to get a little juicy with it all in order to win big.
Now, what happens if we hit and Scott doesn't with us?
Then he can't ever bet again.
Yeah, and if we miss,
then we keep betting.
Yeah,
because we're degenerates.
What are we going to win?
This is, if you throw $100 on the parlay, Randy, it will pay out over $800, and that is how we get back to even, Mr. Tyler.
Yep, that's what we need to do. All right. Don't forget, we need you to build a parlay too. If you already have an idea for tomorrow, or if you have one tonight that you're looking at, you're on DraftKings on your phone, send it in to us, text us or email us, and we would love to hear from you. Coming up, we have Take It or Leave It, plus birthdays and anniversaries on the fight. All right, time for Take It or Leave It. And at USA Today, Bob Nightingale has a lengthy piece about Albert Pujols becoming a manager in MLB. Albert told Nightingale, quote, "I just need someone to take a chance on me. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll be in the corner waiting. If they give me the opportunity, I can promise you that I'm going to do my best to prepare the..." Is that a guarantee? No, but I can guarantee that I will prepare the guys to play the game just like I did with that mentality and toughness. So, take it or leave it. If Pujols manages anywhere else but in St. Louis, it'll be a disaster for the Cardinal organization.
I'm going to put the biggest check mark I can in the take it box. That would be terrible. All right, I'll go a little higher for our producer back there.
Good.
I just didn't want to cut through Pujols' name by any means. But that would be terrible for the St. Louis Cardinals and especially the fans. And what would make it even worse is if he went to a rival team, say some team in the NL Central or maybe the team out west.
Yeah, it sounded in the article, and you could read it at usatoday.com, kind of sounds like the Angels are really enamored of the idea of Albert as their manager.
Oh, gosh, that would be brutal. It's already miserable enough that you had to watch Pujols walk to that team, but then manage that group? Oh, man.
Be tough.
Can't do it, Randy. I can't do it.
Okay.
My take it or leave it for you is this, a former Angel. So MLB The Show introduced 3 players in the 99 overall club. Those are Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. But take it or leave it, Shohei shouldn't be in the 99 club because he should be 100 overall.
I'm going to 100% take it. If you're going to put him in the 99 club, put him in the 198 club because he's 99 as a hitter and 99 as a pitcher. So, yeah, he's got to be higher than 99.
Absolutely. I'm taking that, too. I don't even know if Juan Soto is a player I'd put in the 99 overall club. Based on Judge's season last year, I could see it, but for Juan Soto to be that player, too, just because he got paid all that money doesn't make you 99.
It does make a difference.
It does.
Director Tyler has this one for us. Matrix Midwest weather. The official forecast, it is golfing weather all week. Take it or leave it, the best day to play hooky from work is today because of daylight saving time. Yes, the days are longer. The sun sets at 7 o'clock. Matrix Midwest weather coming your way. And I am going to 100% take it. Tyler did not play hooky, but he came in when the sun was not up. Tyler, are you going to hit the golf course this afternoon? Driving range. Okay, good.
Okay, that's a good call. That's a great call. I'm going to take it as well. And Randy and I are meteorologists. We got our degrees on University of Online Weather Institute of Tech.
The Lindenwood University.
Yes,
we would look out that window and we'd say, it's going to rain. Or we would say, oh, it's sunny today.
Did you ever do weather when you were working at LUTV? Did you ever do the green screen weather?
We didn't have LUTV when I was
there.
there. And Tyler, by the way, is a meteorologist. And what did you say the forecast is for today? Beautiful.
Beautiful. That's it. That's how Matrix Midwest Sports does.
He's a true meteorologist, so good on him. So it's going to be beautiful today. All right, that is Tioli, and it's time now for birthdays. And we've got a big one today for you. Cardinals slugger, we hope he's a slugger, Lucan Baker is 28. Happy birthday, Lucan. And if you're going to get a shot, 28 years old is about the time to get it. He's got 3 home runs this spring. We all like him, and I think that he is your last bench guy.
I believe so, too, and I think he should hit at least 28 home runs this year.
I'm with you. Somewhere he should hit 28 home runs. Former Cardinal and Red Sox world champion Mike Timlin is 59. He's a great immaculate grid guy. So, yeah, look at Mike Timlin for your next immaculate grid. Happy birthday, Mike Timlin.
Not to be confused with the Steelers head coach.
Oh, that's Mike Tomlin. Former big league reliever Steve Howe, suspended 7 times, is 67 years old today. That's unbelievable.
Suspended for what?
Cocaine.
Oh, my.
Cocaine is quite a drug. Yeah, so he got suspended 7 times. And and one of the great scenes in movie history is Police Squad. And not one of those Steve Howe 7-time chances either. So, yeah, happy birthday to Steve Howe. Mike Bullard, whom the Blues acquired for Doug Gilmour back in 1988 and then traded for Peter Zezel 2 months later, is 64. So Mike Bullard didn't have a very long career here, but it is his birthday today.
It almost looks like he should be working at a pizza shop with that mustache.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad spot for him. No doubt about it. How about Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton? He got a nice birthday present. Signed a new contract yesterday. $45 million over 3 years. A Mizzou guy, obviously. Nick Bolton, 25 today. What a nice birthday present.
Worth every penny, too, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, no question about it. That's one of the reasons they traded Joe Thuney. And former Big Red guard Terry Steve. He was acquired for Conrad Dobler back in the 80s. He's 71 today. Terry Steve, a really good guy. And a really good football player, just didn't play for the right franchise. But happy birthday to Terry Steve on his 71st. Okay, anniversaries, Andrew. We didn't have a show yesterday, but 29 years ago yesterday, Wayne Gretzky had his only 2-goal game for the St. Louis Blues. Had it against the Hartford Whalers. He had an assist, too. The great one had 8 goals and 13 assists in his 18 regular season games for the Blues.
And talking about players, great players that play for different teams, this is one that I'm happy ended up in St. Louis. It's crazy to think he only had that a few times. 2 goals? That's nuts.
Yeah, he had only 1 2-goal game, but only 18 games for the
less than a
Blues.
few.
But yeah, if he would have stayed here, if the Blues would have been able to maybe keep the offer on the table that he had agreed to, he would have had a lot of 2-goal games as a member of the Blues. Do you like the retro sweaters that Gretzky wore?
I love it. Oh my gosh. There was part of me, okay, and this is my unpopular opinion this year. I did not like the Winter Classic jerseys. I wanted them to do something like that. Go way retro like that, like the Gretzky jersey, so that I could buy one of those. I didn't buy one this year, and I attended the game.
Oh man, you should have absolutely.
Yeah, I just didn't like it.
You can still buy
Didn't
one.
like it.
I know a lot of people didn't like it because it didn't have the blue note on the front, and I believe that's the first time the Blues have ever not had the blue note on the front of their jersey. It is the bulletin apparently official, and so I understand why some people didn't like it. I was fine with it too. Although I didn't purchase one, I would have gotten a hoodie that said St. Louis on the front. I love the fact that the Blues recognize that they're from the Lou and they put STL on the front.
And that's fine, but I didn't like the font. I didn't like the lowercase capital T. It wasn't for me. That was not my jersey.
That's fair enough. No afternoon baseball for St. Louis today, but on the guide, we do have the Cardinals taking on the Mets at 5:10 on MLB Network. So that you'll be able to see that one. If you have MLB Network, you'll be able to watch the Cardinals and the Mets at 5:10 this afternoon. Sonny Gray pitching for the Cardinals, so that'll be fun.
Good to see him back.
And the game that I have a bet on, the Celtics host the Jazz at 6:30. That game is on tonight, so you'll have an opportunity to see that on NBA TV, and you'll have the opportunity to see the Celtics win by 18.
18, gotta be 18.
Got to be 18.
And maybe we'll see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum drop 71 again.
How about 71 points between those two against the Lakers the other night? And by the way, we didn't mention this during the show, but it is notable that LeBron James is out for at least a couple of weeks with a groin injury, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to say they're done, because I'm interested to see what happens with Doncic now that he is the man in LA. Is he going to be able to carry that team in the absence of LeBron James? I wouldn't be surprised. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, LeBron's out, you count them out. No, they have kind of the young LeBron now, and it'll be interesting to see if he can carry them.
Yeah, you know, when Luka got traded to Los Angeles, it had me thinking, okay, is this LeBron's team still, or is this going to become Luka's team? And now that LeBron is out, it seems pretty clear that this is Luka's team, but even when LeBron was around, it still seemed more like Luka's team. So it was a great trade for Los Angeles to be able to snag their next superstar.
And for all of our discussions about them not having a big man, well, they've been able to move up to second in the Western Conference without a big man. However, when they take on the big man that is the Joker in Denver, then you might have some problems. The first 30-20-20 game in the history of the NBA the other night for Jokic for Denver, and they're in action tonight as well.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's as good as it gets. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in on this Monday. For Andrew Rogers and our director Tyler Klaus, who's headed to the driving range today, we want you to get out and enjoy the outdoor weather as well. For all of us here at Matrix Midwest, have a magnificent Monday, St. Louis.